the safety of Larne Lough. The Friends Goodwill was the name of the ship, and it left in the 1717 in the May and landed in Boston in the same year in September. And we have a memorial to those people down in Larne in the current park, showing a typical Scots-Irish family, husband and wife, son and daughter, and the wife is carrying the family Bible. So while I'm not an academic in any sense of the matter, I do feel that I have some credibility in being here this evening. But of course, far more distinguished people than I have talked about their Scots-Irish history. And in August 2016, I was in Philadelphia for the Democratic National Convention. As a diplomat, I have to go to all the conventions. And President Barack Obama made a statement, and I just want to read it briefly too, because I think it encapsulates what we're trying to establish and investigate over the next few days. This is President Obama. My ancestors were Scots-Irish mostly, farmers, teachers, ranch hands, hardy, small-town folk. They didn't like show-offs. They didn't admire braggarts nor bullies. What they valued were traits like honesty and hard work, kindness, courtesy, humility and responsibility, helping each other out. That's what they believed in. True things, things that last. Obviously, an orator like the President can put that so beautifully, and I think it really encapsulates, as I say, what we hope we're going to discover over the next few days. However, the natural modesty of the Ulster Scots folk is part of the reason that our story is sometimes in danger of being lost. What has led us to be described as the people with no name? While I don't think we should be boastful, ladies and gentlemen, I do think that we have plenty to be justly proud of. And I think the understanding over the next few days of this symposium will help us, not just the people in America, but also on the other side of the pond in Ireland and around the world. The first written record of the term Scots-Irish came from Maryland, way back in 1689. But the people of Ulster started to arrive in the colonies decades before that. Indeed, the first failed attempt by Ulster Scots Presbyterians to travel to the colonies was as far back as 1636, when they sailed on Eagle Wing, but they had to turn back. On that occasion too, they were heading for the New England area and the Merrimack River in particular, where they eventually ended up in 1718. Ladies and gentlemen, the Scots-Irish didn't shape the American nation, they made it. The philosophy and ideas that led to the revolution came from Ulster. Francis Hutcheson from Saintfield in County Down taught moral philosophy at Glasgow University during the Enlightenment. He taught that people had the right to overthrow a government that refused to rule in their interests. One of his students was the Reverend Francis Allison, a native of County Donegal. Allison came to America in 1735 and set up a school. One of his pupils was Charles Thompson, to be the Secretary of the Continental Congress. The Scots-Irish were heavily involved in the War of Independence. 5 signatories of the Declaration of Independence, America's birth certificate, were Scots-Irish. 4 generals in the Patriot Army, 15 members of Congress, and many other influential figures came from our community. Perhaps one of the greatest measures of the impact of the Ulster Scots or the Scots-Irish on the United States of America is the number of people we sent to the White House. From Andrew Jackson to Barack Obama, 20 of the 44 presidents have had Scots-Irish roots. We may actually have 21 if the Ulster Scots Agency's research into the life of Franklin Delano Roosevelt prove that his ancestor, Colonel Adam Murray, who commanded the troops at the Siege of Derry, was indeed part of that family. Speaking of our great presidents reminds me of a brilliant quote that serves to encapsulate the attitude of the Scots-Irish to authority. In 1835, a congressman of our lineage said, "I bark at no man's bid. I will never come and go and fetch and carry at the whistle of the great man at the White House, no matter who he is." It was Davy Crockett, wouldn't you guess? That "don't tread on me" mindset of our people is famous on both sides of the pond. So it's so ingrained in our culture that we have a word for it in Ulster Scots. It means thran, and we probably have it too in Scotland as well. It is so famous that in 1942, when the GIs were arriving in Northern Ireland during the Second World War, they were provided with a guidebook to help them settle into the province of Ulster. One of the pieces of information said, "Argument for its own sake is a Scots-Irish speciality, and arguing politics might always be called a national sport." And if anybody's following Northern Ireland politics at the minute, it's still true today. But while we can be thran, we are also very loyal to our friends, and we always want to acknowledge those who help us out. It would be remiss of me not to mention and recognise some of the people who have been very good to me. My friend and colleague from the Northern Ireland Executive in Belfast, Martina Campbell. Martina has been enormously helpful to me in preparing for this event, and she is a highly respected public servant in Northern Ireland. Tomorrow we're going to meet Richard Hanna. Unfortunately, his plane didn't allow him to be here for tonight's dinner. Richard had a distinguished career as a curriculum development expert in Northern Ireland, and he's now heavily involved in the Ulster Scots Agency's Research and Development Programme, and we look forward to hearing more from Richard tomorrow. And of course, we are the Scots-Irish, so in recognition of that, we actually have a proper Scot with us this evening. And this young man here is Rory Hetterly. Rory is the second secretary at the Scottish office of the British Embassy in Washington, and my very new and welcome colleague. And Rory will be giving us his hospitality tomorrow evening. Ladies and gentlemen, I think there is such a wide range of interests in this room this evening, and I just know that the next few days are going to be so enlightening for all of us, and apart from anything else, I think we're going to make a lot of new friends. There is certainly a renewed energy in Northern Ireland around promoting and developing Scots-Irish history, and obviously the context of the wider Northern Ireland issue and the Irish culture as well. The Ulster Scots Agency has been working a number of projects to celebrate the tercentenary of the arrival in 1718 of the Ulster Scots. To coincide with that event, there's a new interpretive centre that has been opened in Moneyray, which is in Donegal, part of Ulster. The centre is the former manse of the Presbyterian congregation of the Reverend William Boyd, who the historians in the room will remember carried the original petition to Governor Shute. And just last month, a brand new gallery focusing on the Scots-Irish was opened by the US Consul General to Belfast in the Discover Ulster Scots Centre in downtown Belfast. Interestingly, the new gallery is named after Eric Montgomery, who pioneered interest in our heritage way back in the 60s and 70s. Eric founded the Ulster American Folk Park in Oma, County Tyrone, and the Museum of Frontier Culture in Staunton, Virginia. Eric had a keen interest in the various presidential homesteads, and the agency is also prioritising these. Work on the Ulysses S. Grant homestead is now entering its second phase, and the Andrew Jackson cottage outside Carrickfergus, County Antrim, is closed for an 8-month renovation, which will bring it back to its former glory. Another significant development, which will be completed next year, is a new visitor facility at the Belfast headquarters of the Presbyterian Church in Ireland. This will include archives, reading rooms, and a permanent exhibition where people can research and learn about their Presbyterian heritage, including how Presbyterianism came to the United States of America under the banner of the Reverend Francis McCamey. That project is going to cost over $500,000, and we very much look forward to its completion. We are living in exciting times, and I'm delighted that the Ulster Scots Agency is in the lead in making us all aware of our shared heritage. I just want to finish by saying a couple of things about Northern Ireland. I mentioned earlier that I have represented it here for almost a decade. The Northern Ireland that Martina and I would have grown up in our youth has completely transformed through the Good Friday Agreement. We have more tourists coming to Northern Ireland than we ever had before, 250,000 last year from North America alone. Investment has increased, and there is a feeling that we have peace. Politics at the minute continue to be difficult in Northern Ireland, but that's part, I think, of our culture. But the Northern Ireland that I represent in the United States and Canada is a completely transformed place to the one that I grew up as a teenager. For those of you who have not been recently or not been at all, I would encourage you to make the reverse journey of your ancestors. Go to Northern Ireland and see it for yourselves. I very much look forward to seeing you as we develop the whole conversation over the next couple of days. But anyway, thank you so much for allowing me to host this evening. Thank you again, Rebecca, for all you've done to promote the Ulster Scots heritage in this great country. Thank you very much.